Hey everyone, this is DJ. Welcome to my channel. Today I will be reviewing the V Series 5.1 Soundbar by Vizio. The model is the V51-H6. This is a budget-friendly soundbar that will bring surround sound to your TV at an affordable price. Now with that said, I will go through each component and all of its features, and I will give you my honest opinion on what I like and what I dislike from the soundbar, so you can make your own decision if the soundbar is right for you. So let's take it out of the box and get started right after this. Alright, we're back again. Everything's out of the box. This is what's included. Of course, we got our soundbar, subwoofer, you got your accessories, 2 surround speakers, quick start guide over here. Now Vizio is one of the few companies that provides you with every single possible cable you may need to hook up your soundbar. Of course, you got your 2 power cords over here, one for the soundbar, one for the subwoofer. You got speaker wires for the surround speakers. HDMI cable. If your TV has an HDMI ARC port, this would be your best connection. Best sound will come out of that. Remote control and batteries. If your TV doesn't have an HDMI ARC port, this would be your next best choice using the optical cable. Below we got a user manual. They include some straps over here, so if you have excess wire from the speakers or one of your power cables, you can strap it down and keep it nice and neat. RCAs to 3.5mm over here. We got some mounting brackets for the soundbar and for the 2 surround speakers, so if you want to mount them on the wall, you can do that too. The only thing they don't include is the screws to mount the bracket to the wall. You have to get that on your own. Last but not least, we have the 3.5 to 3.5mm cable over here. This one you can hook up a virtual assistant if you wanted to the soundbar. We'll talk about that a little later. So I'm just going to move some of these out of the way. We're going to take a closer look to every single component in here and take a closer look. And we're going to start with the soundbar. And I'll be right back. So let's take a closer look at the soundbar now. The soundbar is 36 inches long, 2.25 inches in height, 3.25 inches in depth. It weighs a little over 4.5 pounds. It is made out of plastic, which is easy to clean. That's a good thing. You got your power button over here, your inputs. You can change your inputs from this button, Bluetooth pairing, volume controls, and just the Vizio logo that's engraved in the plastic here. So if you go into the front. Now the front, this is made out of cloth material, which I would have preferred if it was a plastic grill over here. This is going to be hard to clean and also easy to rip. You do have 3 full range speakers. You got your left, your right, and a center. And also in the corner over here, you have some LED lights for your settings, your volume, so it doesn't have like a display to show you numbers and all that. It's just a bar that goes up and down. We'll check that out later. We go on the bottom. You got some rubber pads over here so it won't slide, and then your mounting holes over here for the brackets if you want to mount it to the wall. And if we go into the other side, this is, you got your power input over here. This is the figure 8, so let's take a little closer look. You also have your USB port over here. This is a 2.0 port, has 5 volts, half amp output. This will only play MP3s and WAV files only, and also this will be used if you purchase the soundbar, or if you haven't done so, to download the new firmware and update the soundbar. You can just use a thumb drive, connect it over here, and it will update. So I'll go to the opposite side. You got your HDMI ARC port. You also have your optical. And then on this side we got the auxiliary and then the auxiliary VA. Now the auxiliary, this one you can use if you want to hook up a desktop or a laptop, for example, using the 3.5 to 3.5 millimeter. And then the auxiliary VA over here. This is for your home assistant, like if you want to hook up Alexa or your Google Home, Siri. But don't use this for anything else. That's what it's only for. Like I said before, the HDMI ARC. This will be your best connection if your TV supports it. You will get the best sound quality out of this one. And next will be your optical connection. So your TV most likely will have either or. I would do not recommend the Bluetooth, but that is a personal preference. And that's about it for connections and the soundbar. So we're going to move on to the subwoofer and the surround speakers next and check those out. So I'll be right back. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the surround speakers first. They're the same design as the soundbar. You got your plastic material on the top, cloth in the front. They're 4 3/4 in width, 2 1/4 in height, 3 1/4 in depth. They weigh shy of 2 pounds. These can be placed in the back or the front of your sitting area. So if you put them next to the soundbar, they will blend in. They look like they're part of the soundbar. If we go in the back over here, all you have is your speaker wire connection over here, which is color coded. And then your mounting hole over here for the bracket. If you want to mount them to the wall, or you can use a speaker stand. And if you go on the bottom, just got some rubber feet so it won't slide. Now you do have to make sure this is connected to the right input on the subwoofer. So the blue has to be connected to the blue and the gray to the gray. If they're switched, you will have issues. They're not gonna sound right. And you may think something's wrong with the speaker, but it's not. So let's move this out of the way. The speaker wire that's included, like I said, it's color coded too. And this is 26 feet long. So you got plenty of cable to run in behind the sitting area that you are. The only thing is, I would rather have the surround speakers have their own receiver module than been connected to the subwoofer. Only because the subwoofer has to be placed close by with the surround speakers. So if you wanted to place the subwoofer somewhere else, unless you don't mind wires running across the room, then you can do that. Otherwise, it has to be close by, so that way the wires can be kind of hidden. But this has to be connected to the subwoofer. That's the other thing that I don't like. I would have preferred a separate module. Now if we take a closer look at the subwoofer, the top of the subwoofer is made of the same material, the plastic, same texture. Got the Vizio logo engraved in the plastic here too. The side is made out of wood. It's 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 by 10 inches in height. It weighs 7.5 pounds. If we take a closer look in the back now, you have your power input over here, AC in, figure 8. Now these don't come with a power brick, they're built in. You got your inputs here for the speakers, your left and right, blue and gray. On and off switch over here with a light around it. So when this is connected to the soundbar, once it's paired, this will be a solid color, solid white. You got your port over here. Make sure where you place the soundbar, the port is not covered. It's not blocked with anything. It needs to be exposed. Take a look on the bottom. You have a 5-inch subwoofer. Now this 5-inch woofer will perform okay. How well it's going to perform, we're going to find out soon. It's definitely going to be a lot better than your TV speakers. You got some rubber feet here, so it won't slide around. It also raises it off the floor a little bit. Alright, so that's about it for the surround speakers and the subwoofer. We're going to move on to the user manual of the remote quickly, take a quick look at that, and then hook this up to my TV so we can test it out and see how it performs. I'll be right back. Alright, lastly we got a wall mounted template over here. If you're gonna mount the soundbar to the wall, you got a template over here to help you mark the holes where you need to drill the screws through. Then you got the user manual over here, walks you through every single step that you need to do, how to connect it, how to place the speakers, how to connect the Bluetooth, voice assistant. It's got a lot of details in here, and also, you know, how to get support. You can also download the PDF file of this if you ever lose this or rather have it on a computer to search faster. And then last, we got the remote control. Now, the remote control has pretty much everything on here with a little screen display over here. So it depends on what you're doing, it will show up here. We're going to go through every single setting in here while the soundbar is connected. That way we can actually see it in action. So let me finish up connecting the soundbar and take a closer look to the soundbar and the remote and all of its settings. So I'll be right back. Alright, soundbar is connected. I'm using the HDMI ARC port. I also connected an Echo Dot on there. I tried it both with the 3.5mm cable and also with Bluetooth, which is currently connected. So let's take a closer look at the settings that the soundbar offers. So switch over to the remote. Now, I do have to say it does offer a lot of settings compared to some other soundbars. So we're going to start with a level, and you can see it on the screen over there. And so we're going to start with the bass. So you can adjust the bass, the treble, and these you adjust by going up and down to find the setting that you want to adjust, and then left or right to increase or decrease. So once you press to the right side, you will see the light bar, the light changes. Now when there's two lights lit over there, that means it's set at 0. So it depends on the direction you go. You will notice the light bar goes up or down. You also have a dialogue setting, which is similar to the center channel setting, which is next. Now this one increases the dialogue, so it's a little more louder and clear if it's not coming out that loud from the center channel. Center speaker, the same thing. This will increase the loudness of the center channel, which will increase the dialogue in the same time. I'm not sure why they have both settings in there. You also have a subwoofer level over here. Now, you may want to increase it or not too much or decrease it a little bit. Depends on what you're watching and how much bass you want the subwoofer to produce. I found that you need to increase it a little bit in order for you to hear a little more of the bass, but don't put it all the way up. It kind of sounds a little more distorted than the deep bass that you're supposed to get. Next, you got the surround level. This one you will need to adjust accordingly. Depends on what you're watching and depends on which EQ setting you're using. I found it to be a little too loud in some movies or TV shows where they overtake the soundbar, so you hear pretty much everything from the back, then hearing the soundbar and the surround speakers as a surround sound speaker. Next, we got the surround balance. This comes in handy when your surround speakers are not placed equally next to you. So if one side, let's say the right speaker, is further away from you than the left speaker, you may want to change that a little bit. And that's it for the level adjustments. Next, we're going to move over to the effects. The first one is surround sound on. If you go to the right, it turns it off. If you place the speakers next to the soundbar, then you want to select surround front. And then if you're playing music, for example, and you have the surround speakers in the back, you want to play like a stereo sound, which that's what the dual will do. Pretty much anything that's playing on the soundbar left and right speakers, it will be the same in the back speakers. We have Virtual X here. This creates a virtual sound. Personally, I did not find this enjoyable. It's more, it creates a virtual sound that's supposed to kind of like create like an overhead sound and fills up the room, but I didn't find that useful. True volume, this you probably would like to enable, depends on your preference too, of course. I enable this more for watching regular TV, like the news or a TV show, for example. This will keep the volume at a consistent level, so that way if it goes from the news to a commercial and the commercial's too loud, it will keep it at a consistent level, so you don't get that high sudden spike in the sound. Some people may prefer this in movies too, if they don't prefer to hear that spike in the sound when there's like a crash or an explosion, anything like that. They prefer to keep it in the same level. You may want to enable this at all times. Night mode, night off over here where it says this is your night mode. So this will lower the bass frequencies so you won't have too much bass and it's not going to disturb people that are sleeping, for example, or if you have people living below you in an apartment building. And that's it for the effects. Next we're going to go to the EQ. Now they got some preset equalizer settings here. So you got one for movies, music, direct, and game. Now it depends on what you're watching. You can adjust this accordingly. And let's go over to the setup. Info, if you press this down, press the OK.
HDMI ARC.
It will tell you which input you are using at the moment. And also, if you're watching a movie or TV show, it will tell you if it's stereo or Dolby or anything like that. Auto VA. Now this is for the Home Assistant. So if you have it connected via Bluetooth, if you have it connected via the auxiliary VA, or if you have two of them connected. If you move to the right, this is for both. So you're enabling the Bluetooth and the 3.5mm auxiliary. If you're only using one and it's connected via Bluetooth, select it to Bluetooth. If you set it up to auxiliary, that means you're connected to the auxiliary VA, or you can just turn it off. All right. Equal power, that's if your soundbar, for example, is only connected via Bluetooth or the optical connection, and your TV won't turn it off when you're turning off the TV. Then if you have this enabled, after a certain amount of time that there's no activity, there's no sound coming through the soundbar, it will turn off itself. But if you connect a Home Assistant, you want to keep this off. You don't want to have it on, otherwise your Home Assistant won't work. Input search, this is the same thing like when you first plugged it in, where it's searching through the inputs to see which one is active, which one has a connection. Program remote, this will be if you have a different TV other than a Vizio, then you want to program the remote to use the volume up and down controls and the mute, and that's all it will do. Power LED, that's the little light that you see in the bottom corner. If you don't want that on, you can turn this off. AV delay, this is for audio sync issue. If you have it, let's say, hooked up with a Bluetooth and you got a little audio delay, you can try to adjust it from here. Reset audio, this will reset all your audio settings that you changed. Reset all, this will reset the whole soundbar, so all the audio settings. If you have any Bluetooth devices connected, it will unpair them. Speaker test, this will play a sound. It will announce which speaker is playing at a time, so you can make sure they're all connected correctly, especially the rear speakers.
Left front. Left front.
Center. Center.
Right front. Right front.
Right rear. Right rear.
left rear, left rear.
And that's all you're going to hear when you press OK. And then if you have a Vizio TV and you don't want to use a remote for the volume, you can turn it off. And that's about it for the setup. And then we got our input selection over here. So you can cycle through the inputs, depends on what you're using it. If you have a HDMI cable connected, or you have a Bluetooth device or a USB and you want to switch to one of those, you can press the input. Bluetooth button over here. If you already have something connected to your soundbar via Bluetooth, it's paired, you can switch to the Bluetooth input and continue from there and play, let's say, your music through the phone. If you need to pair something, you can either use the button on the soundbar or this button over here. Press and hold it for about 5 seconds, and you will notice that the soundbar will start going up and down the lights to show you that it's ready to link, to get paired. Now that light will stay on for a while. I think it's close to like almost 15 minutes. So it gives you plenty of time to get the soundbar in pairing mode and then your device that you want to connect. And then last but not least, we got the power button over here. So if your soundbar doesn't turn off by itself, or if the TV doesn't turn off your soundbar, you can just turn it off from here. And also in the back, it gives you a little description of each light that turns on. Depends on your input that you're using. So each input has a different color. It's just hard to focus on it. Sorry about that. So you will see in the bottom when you're switching inputs, or when you check the input, it will show you a different color. And that's about it. Those are the settings. There are plenty of settings on there. Very surprised that they give you that many settings for the soundbar. So let's go into the soundbar now and let's talk about the quality of the soundbar. What do we think? So we're going to do my final thoughts and let you know what I think about it. Alright, so before I give you my final thoughts, I'm going to play a clip over here, so kind of give you a sense of how it sounds. Now, keep in mind this is YouTube. It won't do any justice to the soundbar. The sound quality would be a lot better than what you're going to hear out of your speakers watching this video. You have to take my word on that. So we're just going to check out certain settings, different EQ settings, and the true volume and virtual X. I'm going to go through certain of these, and you can get kind of like a feel of how it sounds. So let's check it out. Alright. Hope you got a little feel on how it sounded. Let's play this again. Hopefully you got a little feel on how it sounded. Honestly, I do have to say that the soundbar actually is pretty loud. It is set at 40% right now, and it was pretty loud. Now, if you notice, when I switched it over to true volume, it dropped it a lot, but it also keeps a consistent volume at all times. The actual soundbar produced a lot of bass. I was very impressed with that for the size of the speakers. The subwoofer, on the other hand, has enough bass. Of course, it's only a 5-inch woofer, so it only can produce so much bass and that deep thump. Depends on the size of your room, how far it's placed. If it's close by and the room is not that big, you will be able to get that little effect of the subwoofer. If it's placed far away, you're not really going to hear much of it. You're going to hear more bass coming out of the soundbar than you will from the actual subwoofer. It's only 75 watts, I believe, the subwoofer, so you're really not going to get too much power. Like I said again, it's only a 5-inch woofer. The surround speakers were loud enough. In certain areas, there was times where you wanted to lower the surround speakers a little bit. They were too loud. Then, of course, they're really literally right behind me. So overall, I have to say, for the quality of the sound, the amount of settings, being able to adjust the dialogue, make it a little louder so you can hear the dialogue better than what you hear in certain movies. Sometimes it's really low. And just overall, with all the adjustments that it offers, being able to adjust the levels from the rear speakers, left and right in the back, it's pretty good. I really actually want to say I do recommend this soundbar. It won't break the bank. Even a retail price at $250, you get the soundbar, the subwoofer, and the 2 surround speakers, which is not bad, considering all 5 speakers. What are the cons? Things that I personally didn't like. First one is the connection for the Home Assistant. We'll start with that one. When I connected the Home Assistant, you really didn't get to hear much from the soundbar, which is kind of disappointing because they're advertising that connect your Home Assistant to the soundbar, either Bluetooth or the 3.5mm and the VA auxiliary, so you can hear your soundbar when you're watching something, and it will go over it and lower the volume. Honestly, I could barely hear what it's saying, and the soundbar is 5 feet away from me, which is very disappointing for somebody that's something that's advertising that it's compatible with your Home Assistant. Either it's Alexa, Google Assistant, or Siri. I tried both ways, Bluetooth and the auxiliary VA. Now, if you do hook it up to the Bluetooth and switch to the Bluetooth, you can raise the volume from there, but you're not going to be playing anything through the soundbar, meaning if you're watching a movie and you have it set to the HDMI ARC and you try to use your Home Assistant, you're not going to hear it. The sound difference between the Echo Dot by itself, playing from that little speaker that it has, is like 10 times louder than what you hear from the soundbar. Besides that, I found a little hiccup there with the settings when I tried to adjust the dialogue. It seemed like it was like stuck, like a little glitch that it wouldn't let me adjust it. So in order for me to be able to adjust the dialogue, not the center's channel, just the dialogue, I had to power down the soundbar and power it up again, and then I was able to adjust that setting. Not too happy about the cloth in front of it instead of a plastic grill or something. I would have rather had a plastic grill covering the speakers, but that's me, of course. That's not a reason not to purchase it. And also, I would have rather have, for the surround speakers, it would have been better if we had a receiver module instead of being connected to the subwoofer. That way I can place the subwoofer anywhere I wanted, be separate, and maybe it would have been a little more powerful. Who knows? But besides that, I will recommend the soundbar. I think for the price, it's worth it. You will enjoy the surround sound that it produces. You will have to adjust certain settings to your liking, of course, but you will be happy actually with this soundbar. Now, if you own this soundbar, or if you plan to purchase one of these, let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions, or if you own it, what do you like about it, what you don't like about it. I would love to know. Alright, that should do it for today. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. It does let YouTube know that you like what I do here, and it does help my channel grow. Also, click on subscribe, and click on the little bell icon to get notified of any new videos that I upload. Thank you for watching. This is DJ. Till next time.